Today I have 10 advanced adjectives for you to add to your vocabulary bank, your active vocabulary, to not only improve the way you sound when you speak, make you sound more advanced and confident when you speak, but also to emphasize your knowledge of the English language. You've worked hard, so hard at trying to improve your language skills. It's important that other people recognize how competent and how successful you are at using that knowledge and having a conversation fluently and effortlessly. If you are taking the IELTS test, these are fantastic words to add to your written and spoken answers. If you are working in an environment where you need the English language and you use the English language on a daily basis, again, these are fantastic words to add to emails, conversations with colleagues, or presentations and meetings. You may feel a lot of these words are very formal. And whilst they are advanced and quite sophisticated, they are not necessarily only for formal situations. If you are having a discussion about politics with friends or sharing information about your home country with your colleagues, maybe a complete stranger has started talking to you at the bus stop about the importance of family. Whatever the situation, it can never be too formal to use advanced vocabulary. The only time it comes across strange to use formal vocabulary is when the question is quite simple. How was your weekend? Did you enjoy the film last night? These topics, these questions are very simple. However, if you are talking about a topic that you are very passionate about, you have a lot of knowledge on, you enjoy talking about, you can never go wrong by sprinkling a few sophisticated and advanced vocabulary in there to demonstrate not only your passion but also your knowledge of the topic. Our first one today is pertinent. Pertinent. So pertinent means relevant or applicable to the situation or the subject or the topic or the particular matter. So for example, it is important to focus on pertinent details when conducting research. Meaning, don't focus on irrelevant topics. Don't ask questions, don't research things that are not completely and 100% relevant to what we are discussing. The professor asked the students to provide pertinent examples to support their arguments. So relevant examples, appropriate examples, nothing that is irrelevant to the topic. She made sure to ask pertinent questions during the job interview, relevant, applicable questions. If you're doing the IELTS test, you could say something such as, it is pertinent to notice, or this research is pertinent because. When looking at this topic, we should only consider pertinent opinions, relevant, appropriate opinions. Pragmatic. Pragmatic. This is a lovely word to say, pragmatic. Now, pragmatic is kind of a synonym for logical. Instead of doing what you are told to do every single time, or instead of following a particular group of rules, or trying to apply the same solution to every problem, you're looking at it from a logical point of view and saying, okay, this worked last time, but this situation is a bit different. So therefore, our solution needs to be a bit different. Or dealing with this client worked last time, but this client has a different need, has a different set of resources, has a different budget. So we can't treat them the same as this one. We need to use more logical solutions. A pragmatic approach is someone that is very logical and looks at all the situations, all the information, and makes a decision based on the information rather than how they're supposed to do it every single time. So, for example, in order to succeed in business, you need to have a pragmatic approach, meaning you need to have a logical approach. Don't do the same thing every single time. Look at the situation, look at the outcome expected, look at the budget, look at the costs, look at everything that is necessary in order to make a correct decision. The team used a pragmatic strategy to meet their project deadline, so a logical strategy. The decision to cancel the event was made for pragmatic reasons, meaning logical reasons. Something didn't work well. Something about the event was not a good idea. So logically, they had to cancel it. Logic was telling them they had to cancel it. Again, if you are doing the IELTS exam or any kind of exam, you can use the word pragmatic in a sentence that demonstrates the solution or the situation needs to be solved, needs to be found through logic. It needs to be looked at, discussed, rather than just saying, this worked last time, let's do it again. Let's think about what we're doing here. Let's weigh up our options. Let's look at the pros and the cons, the positives and the negatives. Feasible. Feasible. Now, feasible is a fantastic word to use in any situation because it just means something can be done or the ability to do it is present, is there. The proposed plan is not feasible given the limited budget and resources available. We are not able to do what you are suggesting or the proposed plan because we don't have the right amount of budget, we don't have the right amount of resources, the right team, so it's not feasible. The engineer presented a feasible solution to the complex engineering problem. Feasible, the ability to do it, it can be done. So you can use feasible as an adjective to describe a solution, whether something can or cannot be done. In a more casual situation, maybe you're discussing with friends about global warming or solutions for renewable energy or even politicians in your country. Whatever the topic is, you can use this word feasible to say that can't happen or that can happen. An example, I believe all countries could work together to create a better future for everyone. That's not feasible because every country has a different priority and different problems that they need to tackle, they need to handle. Decisive, decisive. Now, I could probably give you a moment to guess what the meaning of this one might be because it comes from another very well-known word, decision or to decide. Now, decisive means exactly that. It's someone that quickly and easily makes decisions. These decisions will be made confidently, and the person does not question, oh, did I make the right decision? Did I do the right thing? They choose an option and they go with it and they make it successful or try to make it successful. Similarly, an indecisive person is someone that cannot make a decision. You give them two options and they spend a long time trying to think about which option is better, which one's going to give them the best outcome, instead of just saying this, let's go for this. She impressed her colleagues with her decisive leadership during the crisis. So something was happening, something bad, a crisis, a situation that they were not prepared for, and she, whoever she is, instead of panicking or thinking, shall we do this, shall we do this, just said, let's do this. We need to act quickly and we need to act now. The coach's decisive action led them to victory. So again, the coach decided quickly, confidently, didn't spend a long time wondering what will work, what will not work. They just did it. You could talk about countries being indecisive, politicians, leaders, your children, your friends. I went on a fantastic holiday with a group of friends, but they are so indecisive, it took us an hour every day to decide where to eat. I'm so lucky I have a decisive family. Whenever we go on a trip, things are organized and we get to see as much as possible without spending a long time wondering about what we should do and where we should go. Now we have the word assertive. Assertive. Someone who is assertive acts confidently, behaves confidently, and is not afraid to say what they think or believe, not afraid to share their opinion. It's not considered a negative. So it's not like aggressive or over the top or always talking about themselves and their opinion. It's more just they're not scared to share their opinion. If somebody tells them their opinion is wrong, they're not worried about being wrong. They have information to prove their opinion or to back up, support their opinion. She asserted her authority in the meeting by speaking up confidently. So maybe the meeting was full of people talking over the top of each other. Nobody was listening to one another. They were just talking. And she confidently explained her opinion or her idea, her strategy, assertively, meaning people listened, people followed, people were engaged in what she was saying. The assertive student was not afraid to challenge the teacher's ideas. So maybe the teacher is teaching something and everyone's just listening, nodding along. And the student says, actually, I think you might be wrong there. Or actually, why have you said that? I need to know more. It is important to be assertive in negotiations to ensure your needs are met. Now, this sentence could be used with anything. For example, if you are one of those people that goes to a restaurant and feels very scared when the food comes out wrong or it doesn't taste nice and you're worried about sending the food back or asking for something else, you could say, I need to be assertive in this situation. It doesn't mean be rude. It doesn't mean be aggressive. It's just confident and saying what you want, saying what you expect. Or, for example, you travel to a new country and you know that the taxi driver is overcharging you for the ride. Every time you go to a new country, the taxi ride from the airport to your hotel is always more expensive because the taxi driver knows you've just landed and you don't understand the currency yet and you have to get to your hotel. It's the same in every country. If you are assertive in this situation, if you've done your research and you know how much the taxi drive should cost, you can have that negotiation, that conversation. And by being assertive, again, you are not being rude to the taxi driver. You're just saying, I have a friend that last week paid this much, or I read online it should cost this much, or I know my hotel is only 2 kilometers away. It shouldn't cost that much. If in the IELTS exam you are asked about whether technology is bad for us, or if we spend too much time on our screens, or if parents should be responsible for children not spending so much time on their phone, you could say parents need to be assertive when talking to their children about screen time, about technology. Again, it's not being rude or aggressive or angry, just sticking to your opinion, being confident in your opinion. Discerning. Now, discerning means you can make quite a good judgment about something, about quality or style. You're able to tell the difference between two things that look very similar. Or you're able to judge quickly out of two options which one is going to last longer or is higher quality or is going to look better in a certain situation. The discerning critic was able to identify the subtle flaws in the artist's work, meaning a normal person, the average person, would look at that artist's work and say, oh, it's beautiful, it looks great. But this person has a lot of knowledge on artwork, maybe on this particular artist's artwork, and can tell the difference between the two. Although it sounds like a negative because discerning, and usually dis follows disappointment or disengaged, it's actually a positive. It's someone that has a lot of knowledge or attention to detail on a particular topic and can tell the difference. So we often use this when talking about architecture or interior design or artwork, fashion, clothing, anything that is considered stylish and fashionable and is a trend. Somebody that is discerning will be able to tell the difference between these trends. Egregious. Now, egregious is something bad that is very noticeable. So it's more than saying something is terrible or upsetting or you're angry by it. If something is egregious, it is awful. The egregious mistake cost the company millions of dollars in damages. So the awful mistake that was noticeable had this effect. It cost the company. His behavior at the party was so egregious that he was asked to leave. It was so bad, so awful. The egregious violation of privacy led to the legal action against the company. So if you want to demonstrate that something is really bad, it's really awful, you can use the word egregious. And you can use it in replace of awful. So instead of saying the awful behavior of the company or the awful behavior of the man or the awful violation of privacy, you can use egregious. Surreptitious. Surreptitious. Now, if something is surreptitious or is done surreptitiously, what we are saying is it's done in secret. Nobody notices. Nobody is aware that this is happening. She made a superstitious phone call to her friend while her parents were not looking, meaning something was strange about this phone call. Something was secret about this phone call. The surreptitious reshuffling of the deck was caught by the keen-eyed dealer. So obviously in this situation, we've got a group of people playing cards and someone has realized they're not going to win, so they've reshuffled the deck, hoping that other people didn't see or didn't notice, but it was noticed by the dealer. If you want to describe maybe one of your friends is acting a bit strange or someone at work seems to be not telling you everything, they're keeping secrets, they're acting strange, they're not being open and transparent and honest about things, you can say they're acting surreptitiously. It's kind of like suspicious. So suspicious is when something happens illegally or without people knowing, but it's always a negative. A suspicious thing is a negative, whereas surreptitiously could be a positive. Maybe you're getting engaged, or maybe you got engaged, and your partner surreptitiously organized everything. So it was done without your knowledge, without you knowing that you were about to be engaged. Maybe it's your 35th birthday party and all of your friends surreptitiously arrived at your favorite restaurant and shouted, "Surprise!" as you walked through the door. So surreptitiously is something happening in secret, in private, but it's not always a negative. It's just without you or without someone else knowing about it. Now, unfortunately, I had 2 more words left to give you, and the software I use to record my audio and my visual decided to update itself, and now I cannot open it. I did consider waiting until tomorrow, until it's finished sorting itself out and I have a chance to fix it to finish this video, but I wanted to get it done now as there's only 2 words left. And so I think the best thing to do is complete this video and I will fix the software for next time. So the lighting is a little different, the audio might be a little bit different, and I know you can see more of me right now, but hopefully that's not too distracting whilst I give you the last 2 words. The first of our last 2 words is poignant. Poignant. Now the spelling is a bit strange and the pronunciation does not match the spelling. So the pronunciation is poignant, almost like you're going to say point, poignant. And there's a Y kind of sound in there, poignant. And poignant is when feelings of sadness are sparked in someone, are caused in someone. But it's not because somebody's intentionally trying to make you sad. It could be you've watched a movie and it's made you sad. You read a book and you felt sorry for the characters. You empathized with the characters, you felt sad for them. Or somebody told you something or showed you something, a photograph or a memory that they have, that reminded you of a sad time in your life, so it brought up feelings of sadness. You can use this in a similar way to thought-provoking. Thought-provoking, poignant. Poignant is when you watch, read, or see something that makes you feel sad or have feelings of sadness. So an example is, the poignant scene in the movie brought tears to the entire audience. Or the old photograph evoked poignant memories of a time long gone. So seeing the photograph brought back memories to you. His poignant words struck a chord with the grieving family at the funeral. So again, he didn't mean to make the family sad. He didn't purposefully say something to make them sad, but what he said made them feel a sadness in some way. We often use this when reviewing a film, a book, a story, a play, a performance. I watched the new Netflix series. It was really poignant. It made me feel very empathetic towards the characters. How was the play at the weekend? It was amazing, but it was so poignant. It really made me upset. But it was very poignant. I had feelings that I hadn't felt in a long time after seeing the performance. And our final word today, steadfast. Steadfast. Now, steadfast means something that does not change. But it's a good thing. It doesn't mean something's boring or it's always the same, but it means it's comfortable because it's always the same. It's comfortable because it never changes. So we might talk about friends or family as being steadfast. Their support for us is steadfast. It never changes. An example is, despite the challenges, he remained steadfast in his commitment to the project. Despite there being moments where he could have felt like, I don't want to do this, his commitment, his feelings never changed. He was motivated, driven, and wanted to work on this project. She was steadfast in her belief that honesty was the best policy, no matter what. So no matter what happens, no matter what challenges she faces, she believes that being honest is always the best answer. She is steadfast in that opinion. Her opinion on that matter does not and will not change. The steadfast friendship stood the test of time, remaining strong through thick and thin. That is a very difficult sentence to say, and there are a lot of phrasal verbs in there. Stood the test of time is a phrase that means it lasted a long time. It lasted through challenges. And thick and thin, through thick and thin, means no matter what happens, good, bad, they stayed friends. So they were steadfast in their friendship. And that is all for you today. I hope there was a word there that you feel that you can add to your vocabulary. I hope there were some words in there that you felt, yes, I have a situation, I can use that. Or I'm going to start using that instead of this word that I use all the time. If you can add these vocabularies in every now and then, this is how you improve your active vocabulary. This is how you gain a wider, a broader vocabulary. And in an IELTS exam, this is how you demonstrate a good use of the language and a good knowledge of the language. Thank you, as always, for being here, for supporting me. Thank you for being patient with my technical difficulties. I'm not a computer genius, but I'm trying my best to put out the best videos I can, the best quality content that I can. So thank you for being here and supporting me. As I already said, I've said that twice now. Enjoy the rest of your week and have a fantastic day. Goodbye.